Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. And today I have B.L. Brown, an author in the house. Good afternoon, Miss Brown. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing outstanding. What about yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Bridgette L. Brown. I write under the name of B.L. Brown. I am a law enforcement professional for about 20 years.
Mhm.
And now I've decided to go into education or back into education. I'm sorry.
All right. What is the genre you write in?
All right. Nonfiction about issues pertaining to interacting with law enforcement. And my second book is a children's book about the dangers of firearms.
Okay. Will you ever write a book about being in education?
Uh, Probably not. Probably not, but you never know. Never know.
So, how many published books do you have to date?
Today I have three.
3. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about your books.
Okay, okay.
Go ahead and tell us about your books.
Oh, okay. So my first book, let me tell you how I got started.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm a police officer, or I'm a certified police officer in Georgia. I
Oh.
began to when I go out, friends would ask me certain questions about, hey, I got stopped. Can the police do this? Can the police do that?
Mhm.
And so the book kind of came about as an answer to my friends. Just read the book. You don't have to ask me, when we're out in public. But I believe it's important to educate the community, the public, about police officers, what we do, why we do the things we do, and more education would provide more positive interactions with law enforcement. My first book was basically about the criminal justice system. Talked about juvenile justice. It talked about voting, because I think when you look at interacting with police officers, when you look at the laws, everything goes right back to voting.
Mhm.
We have a voice, and we have to use that voice. The second book, like I said, was a children's book that came about as I read and saw news articles about accidental shootings by children. This is more prevalent than one would think. That children get a hold of firearms in the home, and they accidentally shoot themselves or others. So I thought it was important to write a book for parents. Actually, it's a children's book, but for parents to have a conversation with their children about the dangers of firearms. And that book does so in a way that it's not it doesn't put off those who are against firearms, and it's not really for those who are for firearms, but for the safety of children. And it tells a story about 3 kids who, while they're on their way to school, they find the firearm, and they really don't know what to do with the firearm.
Mhm.
So eventually, somebody tells the teacher calls the police introduces them to Brownie Bear. And Brownie Bear is just that. He's a bear. He tells them, that what they did, they could have done things differently. He tells them how to do things differently. And he provides some tips at the end of the book to help parents and children to understand, what to do if you do find a firearm. My third book is called Rules of Engagement, Mending Citizen Police Interactions. I think it's important that, in light of so many negative interactions that we see on the news, that people understand how to interact with law enforcement. I think it's important to know why police officers do what they do. And I'll give you an example. One example that I find people are in a situation is when they get pulled over by the police and they actually get a citation, and they get so upset that they don't want to sign the citation. Well, you don't necessarily, in Georgia, you don't necessarily have to sign the citation, but you have to post a bond if you don't. And so most people don't understand that. And if you get the wrong police officer, one who's, not really community oriented, those who don't communicate very well, they would just ask you to get out of the car and place you under arrest, because that's what you have to do if you don't sign the citation. A lot of people don't understand that. And so that creates some friction during that traffic stop.
Mhm. Okay. How did you choose the genre you in?
I chose it because I feel like there's factual information that people need to know, and so that's what I write about. Factual information. I write about the law. I write about procedures, police procedures, and I write about some real world experiences that I've had myself as a police officer on the road.
What do you consider to be your best accomplishment thus far?
I've had numerous accomplishments. I would say my best would have been actually publishing a book. And I look at that and I say, who would have thought that Bridgette would have published a book?
What inspires you to write?
I think the negative interactions with police officers, the shootings, the killings. That's what inspires me to write. Um, I like to see more positive interactions between citizens and police officers, because I would never want to imagine a day that I wake up that we don't have police officers. I think we need them, and I think just like anything else, any other entity, we have to understand. You know what the expectations are, why they do, or why police officers do what they do when they interact with citizens.
Okay. How do you feel about reviews?
I think reviews are great. I welcome reviews. As a matter of fact, when I published this book, I gave away numerous copies, and the only thing I wanted was to know what people thought about it. What I found was that the information provided in the book, some people they say they want to know this, but they're not willing to read it. And go back to what my father said when I was a kid, that if you want to hide something from somebody, put it in a book. So that was the experience with that.
Okay. What has been the hardest thing about writing?
Actually putting my thoughts on paper in the right way. I don't want to come off as being so pro police that uh, people think that I don't understand the other side, and I do. I've been on the other side of a law enforcement officer. I've been pulled over myself, so there's some negative interactions that I've had as well. But I think that when people understand why sometimes the good police officers, I can't speak for those who don't follow the law. I can't speak for those who don't follow policies and procedures at all, and I don't condone that. But I do believe that when you encounter a police officer who is less than positive, that sometimes we have to take a step back, and we can't meet that negativity with negativity. And I think I talk a lot in my book about complaints. I find that when we have a negative interaction with police, we're quick to communicate our feelings to our family members, our friends on Facebook, but we never really take the time to write out a genuine complaint and submit that complaint to the department. And I think that's very important. I think when you have a bad police officer, I think you have to document, those interactions so that, we can get those police officers out of our communities.
Okay. I'm looking behind you at your bookshelf.
Okay.
So what type of books do you have back behind you?
I have a lot of, I read a lot of law books. I read a lot of procedural books. I read a lot of biographies. The book that I'm reading just started now is about Cory Booker and his beginning as a politician. It's called The New Black Politician. It's a very good book. So I like those type books. As I stated, I'm a teacher now. I teach a law and justice class in Riverdale, Georgia, and I encourage my students to read, regardless of the genre, regardless of the subject area. That it's important for them to read.
So do you teach high school or college level?
I teach high school.
Oh, okay.
I teach a high school law and justice class. I have, matter of fact, 3 classes. I have an introduction class, a justice essentials class, and a forensics class.
Wow, we don't even have that at our school. Wow, that's something different.
Yes.
What do you do when you're not working?
I don't know. I spend time with my family, but I love my job. When I was police officer, I did just about any job you could imagine
Mhm.
under the police umbrella: supervisor, detective, community policing officer, executive protection. Now that and I gave everything I had to my job,
Mhm.
and the same thing with my kids. I research, I work. So when I'm not working, I spend time with my family.
Okay. What is your role in the writing community?
I think my role would be to provide information related to subject matter that's very near and dear to my heart, which is law enforcement, the law, and educating the public. It's funny because police officers have required training. Police officers have to have so many hours of training, but the public has no training whatsoever in how to
Mhm.
deal with the police,
Mhm.
and I think that's important. And I think that's what my role is to provide that.
Okay. Oh, what made you want to become a writer?
Just that. It was providing information to the public. I think that there's some things that people want to know. There's some things that people don't want to know. But
Mhm.
I want them to know both. I want them to know, why you don't put your hands up on a traffic stop, or why you don't put your hands out the window, on your own accord on a traffic
Mhm.
stop.
Mhm.
And that's just your arms are going to get tired. And when they get tired, they're going to fall down. And now the officer wants to know, hey, what are you doing?
Mhm.
So it's the little things like that that I think are important for people to understand. When should I slow down? I'm a speeder, and I hope this doesn't get me in trouble. But I'm a speeder. I know I'm a speeder, and
Mhm.
so I look for things that could give me a little hint to not be caught. So some of those hints are in the book, and I think those are important. How not to get stopped by the police. We
Okay.
always talk about the reactive. What to do when you do get stopped, but the book talks about how do I not get stopped by the police? Can you tell me that? And so it's in there.
Okay. What projects are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on a class to teach not only students but their parents about interacting with law enforcement and about bullying, how those things. We talk about the school to prison pipeline, something that I'm really involved in. So you talk about that, and I think we need to talk more about being proactive and explaining to kids about the things that they do that could be considered as criminal in nature. It's concerning that we've criminalized students playing,
Mhm.
students who are just sometimes having fun. They just don't understand,
Mhm.
and I think it's important to teach them rather than discipline them you know so severely initially. Let's teach them.
Okay. How can readers get in touch with you?
My website is myjusticeacademy.com. On that
Mhm.
website, you'll find information about my books. You'll find a contact page on how to contact me, and you can actually purchase the books from the website. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to add before we leave?
I'd just like to say thank you for the invitation. I think this is a awesome platform that you're providing, and I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. Now, before we leave, would you like to play a little game with me?
I do my best.
Okay, it's really my favorites. Your
Okay.
favorites. Okay. What is your favorite snack while writing?
Popcorn. I love popcorn.
What is your favorite place to write? Where is your favorite
Dunk,
place to write
Dunkin'
and
Donuts.
why?
Dunkin' Donuts, but don't judge me.
What is your favorite restaurant and why?
My favorite restaurant. Wow. It kind of depends on the type of food. I'm a foodie. So I got a burger place that I love. I have a steak place I love. I have a seafood place I love. So it just kind of depends on the what I'm feeling like eating that day.
All right. What is your favorite TV show?
Oh, I don't watch a lot of television. Um, uh, what is the show? Uh, Man, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like the last season. Phil Dunphy, Claire. I can't remember the name of the show. That show. I can't remember the name of it though. But
Okay.
that's gotta be my fave.
Okay. And the last question, what is your favorite type of music?
Jazz. I listen to jazz, gospel, R&B, anything but rap music, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you want to show your books right quick? Do you have your
Oh yeah, I love
you?
this is Rules of Engagement,
Okay.
Amending Citizen Police Interest. And this is Brownie Bear Teaches Gun Safety. It's a great book for parents who have young kids. Even if your child, even if you don't have firearms in your home, sometimes children visit other homes that do have firearms. So it's always important.
Well, I would like to thank you for coming in today and thank you for your time and your craft. And
Thank
again, this is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.